This is the Tabernacle podcast with Pastor Isaac Riddle.
Yes, sir.
And me, John Vermilia. What's up, Isaac?
It's another beautiful day, my friend.
It's hot and rainy outside in the middle of deer season. How can you say beautiful?
It's a little bit gross. I got to say it was a good day. So recently started the carnivore journey.
I know. Why?
I don't know.
I mean, I love meat.
Things.
I'm 100% down with meat, but if there was any guy that didn't need to lose a pound, it's you.
It's dropping. It's dropping quick. So I went and I got some new clothes because, grew out of.
Your wife, Megan, is not
everything.
happy with you.
She's not. Adam Sharp is not either. I walked in today and he said that I looked like a drug dealer. So I'm feeling a little self-conscious
Do you
this
have
morning.
some dime bags in your pocket?
I'm like, what's the deal?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I
Well,
didn't-
your wife is not happy with you because, can we say it on the podcast?
We can say it on the podcast.
Yes, you are expecting child number 2.
Amen.
So she's on a different journey.
She's on a very different journey.
And her exact words to me is, he's decided now's the time. He's getting smaller. And I'm going to be pregnant for the next 7 months.
I'm moral support. Like I am cheering
Whatever.
on.
Yeah, that's just cruel. Anyways, there's more on Isaac later. If you're tuned into this podcast, you already know that Isaac is moving on to not greener pastures, sandier pastures.
Sandier for sure.
Yeah, we'll talk. Well, that's a different podcast, but he's moving on to Arizona to take a discipleship pastor job.
That's right.
And a Bible college adjunct professor role.
It's a lot of teaching, my friend.
Bro, I don't know. But no, seriously, we love you. And
I love you.
We're sad. I don't know how many A's were in that.
Not enough.
To see you go. Yeah. Isaac Riddle coming in hot. He's always coming in hot. Have you ever noticed that on a microphone? He's coming in hot. We love it. But we are privileged today to have near and dear people, not only to Isaac, but to our church, Shayna and Chris, or maybe I should say Chris and Shayna. I don't know. We're not woke police here, but Shayna and Chris Whitlow, all the way from Montague, Michigan. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
This is pretty cool. So, Isaac, why don't we start with you telling us exactly who these people are and why they're near and dear to you?
Yeah. All right, my friends. We have Shayna, who is my sister. And if you know me, if you've had conversations with me, then you've probably heard about Shayna. She has a testimony that impacts my life and my faith every single day. So yes, this is my sister. We get to explore that
Is
testimony.
she your older sister or younger sister?
Younger sister.
I had a feeling.
That's right. Couple years.
Yeah.
Couple years.
She looks barely out of high school.
It's the truth. It is the
Thank
truth.
you.
And next to Shayna, we have Chris, my brother-in-law, who also, I'm just excited for this day, bro, because there's so much story in that camera feed right there. I think every one of us is going to be blessed by what they have to share.
That's cool. So, Shayna, do you claim him?
I do.
I'm not talking about Chris. It's obviously by how close you're sitting together, you claim him. I just make sure you're claiming him.
I'm claiming Isaac.
And before we started the podcast, you agreed that, like us, you're mad at him and happy for him at the same time.
All of the above.
I share all of those sentiments, bro.
Yeah,
That's
whatever.
right.
Whatever.
He says.
Sweet. So, Shayna, let's start with you. Growing up in the Riddle household,
Yes.
where did you go to high school?
So I went to Shelby High School, same school as Isaac did.
And
Very, very small.
and grew up in the church.
Yes.
Okay.
Born and raised in New Era, went to Shelby, and was raised in a very Christ-centered home with my mom and Isaac.
What kind of things were you into as a kid?
Ooh, as a kid, I was very busy. I was into a lot of sports. I played basketball, soccer, softball, dance, all of the above. I was part of many clubs. I was very involved in school things. I was also involved though at, like going to youth group and things like that. I was just a very busy kid.
So when she said soccer, so she's a woman after my own heart. when did you commit your life to Christ? Was that early on, or was that later on in your journey?
Early on. So when I was saved, I was about 5 years old, I believe. But that really didn't hit until I was 21.
21.
So I was, raised in this Christ-centered home, but it never became like a real deep, intimate relationship with Christ until I was 21. Yeah.
So what happened at 21 that made it real for you? Because your story is similar to a lot of people's story. Raised in the Christian home, I think I've said it before. I baptized for their podcast family, I baptized all of our kids as soon as they had some sort of, they prayed a prayer and they felt like they were ready to be baptized. But 3 of them I rebaptized just recently because all 3 of them had a similar story. It was like, oh yeah, I think, excuse me, I think I got baptized because my older sibling did it or because my younger sibling was doing it. But now it's real and now it's my own. And so I had to go through that thing of, we're doing a rebaptism. I know that's hard for you with the Baptist background.
Listen, hey, it's fine. I think Baptists are not so much the baptism thing, but I think we've been saved like 10 times.
Oh, okay.
So
Wesley and I was 1,000. So sorry, this is about Shayna, not about us. So like tell us about that journey. Like how did that happen for you?
Yeah. So I would say, kind of starting at like my childhood, I was very sheltered growing up in childhood. I was raised in this home that was a Christ-centered home with my mom and Isaac. My mom preached the gospel to us in and out every single day. But I did
threw it at us too. Yeah.
Yeah. But I did witness a lot of brokenness in our home, especially with Isaac. He was not only my big brother, but he was my father figure for a long time and my protector. He protected me from many things growing up. And so through childhood, it was, pretty normal, but unfortunately, there was the brokenness that I witnessed. So I grew up feeling very loved and protected. I had a lot going for me as well. Like I said, I was very involved with school functions, sports, family, friends, all of that. But then my normal, so to speak, I lost all of that. I feel like I had a lot of things, stripped away from me because of my health. But before I get into that part, I just think from our perspective, so growing up, I was also, before health problems came, I was in a different relationship that was not Chris. It was a very unequally yoked relationship that did not honor God in any way. But then again, my world was flipped upside down and he saved me from that. As Isaac knows very well, I was not going down a great path after high school. And then I was blessed with literally the world's best husband and this person that was created, for me. So after high school was when we started dating. And so about a year. I'd say about a year. Yeah. About a year into our dating relationship. When we first started dating, it was, I don't know, normal, however you want to say. I had some medical issues that I've had my whole life, but at 21, I did have a stroke. And this was kind of the start of a very, very large downhill battle with my health. And we've only been dating for 1 year. We're only 21 years old. I'm in Mary Free Bed at this time, learning how to walk and talk and do daily living things, everything.
21, you had a stroke.
21, yes.
I don't think I've ever heard of that. Is it, sorry for my, like in my family, I'm the least medically knowledgeable. Meanwhile, my wife is probably a doctor, right? I mean, not quite a surgeon, but she's an expert on all of these things. Is that common or is that pretty uncommon?
It's very uncommon.
Wow.
So
you've been dating a year. You have a stroke.
I've been dating a year. I have a stroke. I'm in Mary Free Bed, learning how to do all of these things. And there was a moment when I was in Mary Free Bed. And so family had to leave at nighttime. So I was left alone at night. And I remember just laying in my bed and thinking of all the things that I feel like were taken from me. At a younger age, it was sports, it was events, it was friendships. And then at 21, I was working full time. I was in the nursing program at our local college, and I had all these dreams, and then I had this stroke. And I remember laying in bed one night at the rehab facility, and that is when it really hit me. That was definitely the moment where I was like, I really need Jesus. I don't know what's going to happen from here. I don't know what my life holds, but I do know that he holds it. And that was definitely the moment where, yes, I was saved at 4 or 5 years old, but that's when it became very real to me.
Did something shift in you from I don't want to say acceptance, but was it more of a surrender type of a thing? You hear a lot of Christians talk about surrender, and I'm not talking about 2 works of grace, but because you're saved. But you're saying, I don't want to put words in your mouth either. Like you said, I need Jesus.
Yes.
Did anything change immediately? And I'm not talking physically. I'm talking about your heart.
Right. Yes. My heart. It was immediate. And it was, like you said, I just completely surrendered to him because I didn't know what else to do. And I was lost and heartbroken, and there was nothing else that I thought I could do. And so I just surrendered completely to him.
Yeah. Well, first of all, amen. Secondly, I don't want to derail too much, but I think this is good to walk along 2 different storylines here. So Shayna, you're at this place where, okay, this is a defining moment. We're trying to figure out how to do life in the midst of absolute tragedy. And the response is, okay, I have to surrender to Jesus. At the same time, though, Chris is walking alongside you.
Yeah.
So, Chris, could you tell us, bro, at this point in this season, what's your faith journey look like?
I would definitely say my faith journey wasn't the strongest at this point in our relationship. I really saw myself as like someone that was, I guess, quote unquote, like religious, but I had no relationship with Christ yet. Like, I did not talk to Jesus every single day, prayed before night kind of situations. Like, we would do devotions together as a couple, but I didn't like make that my number one priority. Walking with her at this point, it was almost just like I had religion and I just didn't really understand what's going on. Like, we just, a few weeks ago, we were just hanging out. We went out on a date. We, went to Applebee's, watched the sunset together, just did the normal date, I guess you would say. And then all of a sudden, my girlfriend, now wife, is laying in Mary Free Bed after having a stroke. Like, I had actually came to your house to tell her all about my little brother's wrestling tournament. I was down in Chip Hills all day. Didn't hear from anybody, thought it was weird. Showed up to your place. My little brother was excited to tell Shayna all about how he did. I think he took like 5th or 4th out of like 30 some schools, and we just didn't see anybody there. And we finally got a hold of Mark, and he's like, yeah, Shayna had a stroke. We're at the hospital, and it was kind of just blur from there, you know?
Now,
we just flew there. And
now to back up a little further, did you guys go to the same high school?
We did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. But and like you said, you'd only been dating about a year. What kind of hopes and dreams did you have? Like Chris, were you already thinking marriage? Were you already had it all planned out? Like, what kind of track were you on at this time? Because this is an earthquake in a relationship.
Right. Yeah. I wasn't really thinking marriage at that point either. I was just kind of, when we started dating, I just didn't really expect to fall in love with Shayna at that time. Like, even a relationship wasn't really like my top priority. Once we like started hanging out, I ended up becoming best friends with Shayna. So like, if I take a step back,
beautiful.
I ended up becoming best friends with Shayna and just falling in love with her slowly. I didn't really see the person who she was in high school. We were friends in high school, but by all means, I just didn't really know who she was personally. And she was just like this beautiful person. She said she was in this, relationship prior to me. And I think she didn't really fully blossom until she was out of that relationship. And we just got to see her true colors and falling in love with her.
Wow. So I'm going to ask a question. Forgive me.
No.
When you're in Mary Free bed, Shayna, because I've never had a stroke. I have relatives that have.
Yeah.
You're 100% aware of what's going on. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So
correct.
Nothing mentally as far as your thoughts, but it's like your body doesn't work. Was it your speech?
Right.
Was it your hands, your feet, walking? Like how did it impact you the most?
So it was, everything. I lost everything on my left side. Whole left face drooped. My arm wouldn't work. My leg didn't work. My speech was heavily impacted as well. Cognitively, I knew, but I also was struggling with like memory issues. Just even trying to like understand different tasks that people were trying to help me do. But I was still completely all there. It was just hard to get it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, it took several weeks with speech therapists, physical therapists, occupational therapists, how to, do all of these things again. So it was a lot.
Yeah. And so Chris, tell me about showing up at the hospital for the first time.
For the first time, it was scary. I didn't really even comprehend what was going on. I didn't know what the outcome was going to be. Like all I saw was Shayna laying in a hospital bed. And next thing I know, I'm flying down the highway, and we first started at the Shelby Hospital, but it needed to be escalated, and she needed to go to Muskegon. So we're flying down to Muskegon. I'm rushing by her side. The EMS let me ride in the elevator with them, and we brought her into the back room to, I think it was
the ICU.
The ICU. It was kind of just all of like a huge like mental shock to me. I couldn't comprehend anything that was going on. So,
yeah, I was married at 21. I can't imagine seeing the woman that I love kind of in that state. So take us from there, Shayna. How did it progress from there?
So I won't go into, listing every single thing that, is wrong with me, but I do have this vascular condition that has now caused this stroke, but then it has also caused a heart attack, and it's also caused several pulmonary embolisms. I have a few genetic conditions and autoimmune diseases that have left me blood transfusion dependent, as I can't make my own blood. My whole digestive tract, it's paralyzed. So I receive every little bit of my nutrition, my fluids, my meds. It all goes through a central line that goes to my heart. These diseases have also left me, oxygen dependent and now no longer able to walk. So I did learn how to walk again after the stroke. But then that was taken away again. These diseases, they left me with all of these things.
Was that in the course of a year or the next several years?
It was a couple.
Because you guys
years.
look 21 to me right now.
It was over the last few years, especially this last year probably is when it's been the worst, where just more and more things keep getting kind of stripped away health-wise, where technically, on paper, my life should have ended by now. I don't like to listen to prognosis from doctors. I don't like to listen to them say, you have X amount of time when this happens. And we expect you to have this much time. But they also said that 5 years ago, and I'm still here. So, when all these illnesses have taken so much from me, they left me with all of these things, all of these ailments. God never left me. And from the very moment that I was in Mary Free Bed and I surrendered to him, that is when I learned that he never left me. And, we just trust his plan more than anything for our life. And it's still a very good life. It's hard, it's trying, and sometimes heartbreaking, as both Chris and Isaac know. It's really scary. We don't know what's going to happen, but like I said, he hasn't left us.
Well, even the way you just said that, and I know some of our listeners will be listening and not watching. If you're watching on YouTube or one of those places, the way you just said that, you have this electric smile. And you just said, we're very scared, or it's very scary. And I'm like, yeah, but look at her face. It's full of, okay, so this is, you got to help me understand this. How does Big Brother protect her feel during all this stuff? I want to bring you into this.
Vulnerable and helpless, if I can be honest. Because what I'm looking at, so we have to go back here. Whew, I didn't know
that's
this.
all right. Come on, you know it.
So stroke forward. Now that's a bit of a timeline, but we're seeing a gradual, we'll call it decline in health. And these are all things that, one, I have no control over, and two, have never even heard of. For one, like if we were to go into depth on and everything that Shayna is experiencing in her life and in her body, I can't pronounce half of them. So that already kind of put me at a loss. However, I will say this, Shayna, of all the things in my life that have impacted my faith journey, Shayna has the most, and here's why. We read scripture, and I've got a couple favorite verses,
for it, brother.
Right? James 1, consider it pure joy. We just Fight Club this recently. Consider it pure joy, brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, for trials produce A, B, and C.
Perseverance.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a really good verse to read. Like, okay, great, cool. Consider it pure joy. God's doing his thing. It's working, whatever. Nope, I didn't understand that until we walked through what we were walking through. Because I can't tell you how many times looking at Shayna, I went to the Lord and said, this is a freaking trial. Like, if ever I've seen a trial, this is the one. So God, help me to be joyous. So help me to cultivate my faith in that sense. Now I'm flipping over a little bit, but Romans... and we've had this conversation before too, but one of my absolute favorite verses in all of Scripture, Paul says that God works for the good. Now, that's the phrase that we got to get caught up on there, right? For the good of those who love him. When I watched Shayna begin this health journey, I realized for the good, I've always misinterpreted that. For the good, I think sometimes we want that to feel good. Like for the good means God is interested in...
Means perfectly healed and back to dance and soccer and sports and your dreams of probably being a mother, being a nurse.
Yeah.
Like I want...
Playing sports.
I want the magic wand.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I took you off track.
No, you're good, bro. I think sometimes that's what we read into that passage. And if Shayna could, she'd probably agree in her testimony that would be at one point in time what you would read into that passage. And then you watch real life happen and you recognize God said he's working for our good. Meaning he's going to make good out of whatever crappy situation we're going to live in. And that's how Shayna started to impact my faith journey, as I realized no matter what happens, no matter how ugly this is, God is still God and he's still good. Doesn't feel like it, doesn't look like it right now, but I have to believe that's true because I'm seeing a walking testimony of that.
Did any of you three ever have a shouting match with God during this time?
I still
many.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's actually where I was going to go next, was to Chris. And I'm not trying to... Feel free, all three of you, at any time to say, hey, there's parts of this story, because you three know the story better than I do. That's why I like coming in with very little, because then for the listener, I can just drag it out. But Chris, how do you go from the relationship was not number one, my faith is not really the top priority, but I'm religious, to you see your girlfriend have a stroke? How far after that did you make the decision, I'm going to not just marry Shayna, I'm going to marry this? With all the stuff that is it okay to go there?
Yeah, of course, for sure. Yeah. So, the stroke was basically the first thing, the first trial, you would say. And then, that was 6 months, I would say about 6 months in Mary Free Bed, where at that point, I still just didn't really understand everything going on around me. I'd go and visit her before work. I'd work second shift at the time, clock out, take a nap, wake up, go see Shay at the hospital. And it was just a continuous cycle for probably about 6 months. And my mind at that point was just like pure frustration, because she had all these hopes and dreams. And honestly, that's all I could honestly think about at the time was, why would God do this? I didn't fully understand that early into what we had going on. And later down the road, when I decided to marry Shayna, just watching her testimony really sparked something in me that I've never felt before. And I don't think I was still fully there yet. But each day I just felt like I was growing closer into something I just didn't really understand growing up in high school and even early on in our relationship. Being with Shayna just made me look at the world with like a completely different mindset. And things that seemed important were just really no longer important. She said she had a heart attack and she's got vascular conditions and she's got connective tissue disorders and she has all these medical conditions. Those things just kind of seemed like, okay, I like Isaac, I really don't know what to do with this. I feel very helpless. And I think there was one point where right before Shayna ended up losing one of her central lines, she ended up going septic and then following up with a heart attack, was really the biggest turning point in my life. It was probably a couple months before. It was almost like God was preparing me for what was about to happen.
Wow.
Because a couple years in our relationship, at some point it's hard to it's hard not to get emotional. I honestly, if I'm being honest, I resented God a couple times just because I fully didn't understand what was happening to such a young woman and someone that I just loved dearly. And Oh, jeez. Sorry there.
You're
No,
good,
that's
brother.
good.
You're just fine.
Yeah, so resenting him it really didn't do anything for my heart, you know. So then when I fully just kind of accepted Jesus into my heart, it was like,
You had to surrender yourself too.
yeah, definitely. I definitely had to surrender because I started to realize anything that I do isn't going to make this situation better. We just have to look at the best of it. We have to, what me and Shayna do is we take things one day at a time.
Amen.
And that's kind of like our life motto. And we kind of just make the best of every situation and see how God works in these trials. And it was really hard to look at it from that perspective until I let Jesus into my heart and completely surrendered.
Now,
So
was that before or after you were married? Like how old were you when you got married? You said you were dating, you're both 21. And so you said then you decided to marry her. I'm assuming she said yes, like you asked her and she said yes. Like talk us
We
through
were
that.
22 and 23 when
Okay.
we got married. And to kind of go back a little bit, so after my stroke, like we have talked about marriage for a while eventually. I mean, after the stroke. But this was one factor into kind of the time frame of us getting married is I told Chris that I wanted to be able to walk down the aisle. I didn't want to have to be in a wheelchair. I wanted to walk down the aisle to him. So that was the first goal. And when that happened, then when I was able to walk again, that was when it became a more, you ready to get married? Like,
Got
hey, I started walking. But no, I'm kidding.
Just a subtle push. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a little push. No. But then it was, well, so our engagement was pretty short. So when we got engaged, it was like both of us were like probably 22, 23. And then by the time we got married, 22, 23.
mm-hmm.
And I did several times. I told Chris, because, like I said, after the stroke, this was a continuous downhill battle. So this wasn't the worst of it. This is just going to get worse and worse and worse. And we're getting more and more taken away. Eventually, not just my own health, but this is going to start affecting him as well as we aren't able to have children. And that was a big conversation we had to have. And I told him, like, you have an out. You can, like, I'm giving you this out. You can leave and I will still love you wholeheartedly. And I would not resent you one bit. This is a lot. And no hesitation. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving you. This is our story. This is our journey. And I love you wholeheartedly, no matter what. And it was shortly, we got engaged. And then about like 8 months later, we got married.
Yeah. Come on. I had to give myself a pep talk before this conversation, and it did not work.
Chris isn't just a dude. Chris is a man.
He is a baller. Yep.
Wow, that's big. I mean, it's obvious that it is not just a genuine love that you have for one another, but God is good.
Amen.
I mean, that's amazing. So you got married and you walked down the aisle.
I walked down the aisle. Yes, it was hard, but I did it. And so, we got married October 10th of 2020. So we're in the middle of pandemic getting married, but it was the most beautiful ceremony. I might be biased, but
you can't.
It was the most beautiful and just heart-wrenching thing. I think for obviously both of us, but also our family as well. that we got to this point. Because, like I said, on paper, my life should have ended before then even. And actually, a month before our wedding, I actually didn't think I was going to make it to the wedding. I was septic at Mayo Clinic in their hospital. And I was there for over a month. And I was really fighting for my life. I was with my mom primarily. She was the one that got me there. And we didn't think I was going to make it back home. When I left Michigan to go to Arizona, to go to Mayo, I said goodbye to Isaac. I said goodbye to my grandparents. I said goodbye to Chris as well. And we just hope and prayed that I would make it back in time. But kind of didn't think that was going to happen. And by the grace of God, I made it to our wedding, and it was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. I love, and I've adopted this, you guys. I love the way that you live one day at a time. One day at a time. It's something that I think we could all learn a thing or two from. I go back to, man, this is probably almost 2 years ago now. I'm having a conversation in a truck, like just some real bro time with a dude here at the Tabernacle, and he says something that sticks with me. And we continue to preach it all the time. We're just walking home together. That's what we're doing, and that's who we are as believers, right? We're just walking home together. And I've gotten really good at saying that in the mirror every single day, because that is the summary of your story, I think, in a lot of ways. We're just walking home. We're just walking home. And not to jump to the glorious end, but that is the thing that provides the joy. That's what provides the good. That's what provides the hope in the midst of all of this is, some days really suck. Some days we're not so sure if we're going to make it out of Mayo Clinic, but it's a beautiful reminder that in God's time, according to his will, we are just walking home. And that's something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I to go back to something that Chris said, where you were talking about having those resentments towards God. I'm glad that you were honest that way, because if you just came in here as shiny, happy people, except for the oxygen and the little thing that's coming right. I mean, it just looks like a beautiful young couple. I mean, both of you kind of right here. Tell us a little bit more of that, Chris, because now as you put a ring on it and you got married and it's a big day. Yep. But again, the magic wand didn't wave, and so now you're fully invested in loving this woman. The scripture says to love her the way Christ loved the church, with everything that comes with that. How did that resentment start to diminish? Not that it won't jump out again, because one day at a time. This journey's not over.
Yeah. So I think it was a matter of adopting a new way of life after she moved in the home with me. Dating, our life was a little different just because I lived, in my bachelor pads with roommates, and they had crazy lives, and, they were just, normal guys.
Video gaming to 2 a.m.,
going to work, coming home, doing their thing. That wasn't really something that I did. I would go and I'd spend time with Shayna, and then I'd come home or go to work, and things just really changed once she moved in. We brought all her medical supplies in, and we adapted all these new, routines, and there's just stuff that I wasn't really used to. I'd just, brush my teeth and call it a night and go crash on my futon. I didn't even have a bed at my bachelor pad. I just slept on a futon. When she moved in, I was super excited. We got this nice new bed, but that's besides the point. I started to resent him a lot less after moving in with Shayna, just because it was just the way that she continued to stay positive and just continue to spark that light in me was like, okay, I need to dive deeper into my Bible. I need to trust God a little more like she's doing, because it just blows my mind how she did it. Even all day at home. I wouldn't see her sometimes, for sometimes several days when she was over in Arizona at Mayo Clinic. And that's just not something that I regularly got a taste of, just seeing her day-to-day life. And that day-to-day life became my day-to-day life. And things just really, it was like right before her heart attack and going septic, I think God just spoke to me and said, hey, Chris, like, you're in for a lot of trials, and they're going to look completely different because you are now under the same roof as this woman, as my daughter. And I'm going to need to say some words to you, and it's going to get pretty ugly, but you're just going to have to trust me. And it's almost hard to explain until you've had that coming to Jesus moment,
That's
and
a come to Jesus moment.
Yeah. And it was scary and it was hard, but I've learned to, my favorite verse is probably Proverbs 3:5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, because I would ask myself questions every single night, and I wouldn't comprehend a single one of them. So I just have to blindly go into this and just trust Jesus. So, I mean, that's kind of the huge turning point, is right before all of these huge medical scares happened, under the same roof with her. He just touched my heart.
So this is, both of you, it's heroic faith. And it's crazy to me where I hear heroic faith pop up. This is an ADD boomer moment, but this is the second time in 3 months on a podcast I've heard someone use trust in the Lord with all your heart. And the time prior, it was a podcast I was listening to, and it was a former member of SEAL Team 6 that was talking about his come to Jesus moment, dealing with trauma and addiction and a jacked up home life and all this kind of stuff, and his whole faith. And he's, why was I saved? And my buddy blew up. And those stories get super dramatic, and he said, I tell my friends, it's trust. I don't know the answers why, but I'm called to trust. And now I'm hearing it from someone who I assume has not been in SEAL Team 6, but is just or more heroically, both of you facing death, facing medical issues, that the same thing we're all facing too, because we're all walking home, like you said, but it all comes back to trust. And so Shayna, I'm just wondering, this glow, this joy, this love, this taking it one day at a time, you're not faking it, right? Where does that come from in you? Is it just gratitude for another day, or like where is that coming from in you? Is it building? Does it ever fade? Are you always just this shiny, happy person in the midst of trial?
So I have to say, first of all, it is very genuine. I'm very thankful for still being here, for one. And it took, having every single thing stripped away from me, that I realized how little of importance all of the things that I thought were my hopes and dreams and purpose in life, that is now a very, very, very much a memory. It's about someone that I no longer know. And I really had to learn to get to the point of having so much peace and joy in life. I had to learn what my purpose was in life. If my purpose isn't to be a mom, a nurse, whatever, then what is my purpose? And I learned, for me, that suffering has been my purpose. And it it's hard to think about, but the suffering has been where I have grown to learn that God can bring me joy and peace in the midst of this great suffering. It's there that I feel the Lord even more greatly. When I am, on my deathbed, practically, it's the closest I have felt to him. And the most I have learned to trust him. Joy is a choice that I have to make every single day. But having this joy helps me celebrate all of these gifts that I've been given. The gift of my husband, obviously, Isaac, who is my very best friend. My parents, my grandparents, all of my family and friends that I have who just love me and adore me, that have never left my side. Despite everything that we go through every single day, I find myself more and more blessed every day. I have learned that God is good, even if life is not. And my shirt says that. It says, even if.
Even if.
Yeah, amen.
I know what that passage means. I was going to ask you about that. Do you want to tell us about that? Yeah.
What was that? Sorry.
Do you want to tell us about that? That's from the book of Daniel. It's a story of the three young men that were being ordered to bow down to an idol, right? And they refused, and they were facing the fiery furnace, which you're in. So tell us why that shirt is so important to you, or that verse.
Well, just kind of like what I was saying. Obviously, it's very relatable. It feels as though, I guess I should say I didn't have this resentment like Chris has had in my life. I never resented God, but I did have to learn that, like I said, God is good.
Yeah.
And my life has not been, whether it's been medical reasons or other reasons or whatever, but it truly, especially, so my mom, bless her sweet heart, I have put her through so much. And it's something that we say all the time, is literally, even if, it's something that she reminds me every single day, that God is good. And whether that's me in the hospital, not making it, or if it's just a bad day at home, or even on the good days, God is good, even if life is not, even if these circumstances aren't good.
That's good.
I think about everything that has happened since childhood to now, and I've asked myself too, if I could trade all that we're going through, all that I've been through, all that my family's been through, like the sickness, the pain, all of it, if I could go back to my old life, my old self that I honestly don't really know anymore, a life that includes eating, because I can't eat, dancing, nursing, friends, because along the way I have lost a lot of friends. I'd say absolutely not. Because without this suffering, I truly wouldn't understand the goodness and the grace of God. It's the suffering that has allowed me to feel the presence of God so closely. like in Mary Free Bed, when I said I surrendered everything to him, well, I surrendered to him every single day, because this life is full of a lot of obstacles. And I sometimes just sit back and think, how in the world did we get here? And as my brother likes to say, but God.
Yeah. Amen. And that's a loaded statement.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back for just a second too, because I think the Lord is funny in his sense of humor and in his sovereignty too, because I'm listening to you talk and I'm picturing growing up. Check me on this. I think I'm remembering it correctly, but my mom had, I want to say it was above the microwave.
Yes.
She had this poster, like cutting board. I don't know exactly what it was.
Yeah, it was a picture.
Yeah, it was a picture and it read "Choose Joy." And I think she pointed to that every single day. Now, it was typically when I was being a butt. Like, the right shirt wasn't out of the laundry yet, or somebody got the wrong pizza or whatever. And every day it was, Isaac?
I beat him to the shower.
Yeah, something silly. And she would, like, without hesitation. It didn't matter how small or how significant the situation was. She wouldn't even speak, right? She would just point.
Right.
Choose
to
joy.
the sign.
Yes.
Choose joy. And when I was a kid, I don't know how many times we rolled our eyes at that. Like, Mom, just give it. But looking back now, I think I needed every single one of those reminders. Like, I look back now and I needed every single time she pointed at that sign, because we learned very quickly, or would learn very quickly, the reason why. So
Yeah.
it's funny.
And
I think about the struggle every day, and I go back to that picture above the microwave. And
to kind of add on to that. So obviously this is a story of us, but shout out to Mom.
yeah,
No,
she gets some cred.
Oh, yeah.
She, oh my word, if it weren't for her, I don't know where Isaac and I would be.
Yeah.
She has taught us every single thing that we needed to know growing up. We did come from this broken home, and she made sure that we still felt so loved, and that we knew that we were loved and supported, not just by her, but by God. And I just love her so much.
Yeah, moms are. You got me thinking of my own saint of a mother, Jeanette Vermilia, who it must have been 1984. You weren't born yet. 84, 85, somewhere around there. So I have 4 siblings. So there's 5 kids. My father's a pastor, and my mom's the prayer queen. And somewhere in that last year, it was the last year that we all lived at home before my oldest sister got married. And I mean, my oldest sister was in college, but coming home during breaks in the summer and all that stuff. I remember they all sat us down for one of those family devos, and I'm the guy that's like, oh, here we go. It's please don't let Mom pray, because she'll pray forever and I'll fall asleep and all this kind of stuff. But they decided, and they announced it, that we were going to have a theme for the year. And Precious Moments was big, or just the little cheesy artwork. And so we had a plaque in our kitchen. And it had like these little caricatures of everyone in our family that a local artist had painted. It was so cheese. It was so cheese. We made a joke of it. I got tired of my mom and dad talking about it. But big words, 2 words, it said Cherish Now. It said Cherish Now. And it was my mom trying to hang on to the fam, before everyone gets married and starts moving, going to college. And when you're 14 or 15, you're like, cherish whatever. I'm ready to move on with my hopes and dreams, with my life and my image and what I thought my purpose was. But as you were sharing that, what your mom, both of your mother put there and was always pointing to, choose joy. When you were talking about one day at a time, that was going through my head. The older I've gotten, and, I see my own family, marrying off, and I got grandkids, and now more specifically, I'm thinking of you guys. Cherish Now makes a whole lot more sense. Cherishing for you guys every single minute, every single moment, every single day. I wish Isaac would cherish now a little bit more instead of moving to Arizona.
I was waiting for that one.
Yeah,
I was
come
waiting
on,
for
brother.
that one.
Come on, brother. But does that hold any truth or resonate at all for you guys?
100%. We never know what the day is going to hold. Sometimes it's not even one day at a time, it's one moment at a time. And we have definitely learned that we have to just cherish every single moment we have together, not just us, but our whole family, as we don't know what the day will hold. We don't know what tomorrow or even next week will hold. And we don't know how much time there is. So we cherish every single bit. So going back to one of the, oopsies.
Nope, we still got you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So going back a little bit to one of the times that I was diagnosed with something, it's very, very rare. Only about 0.01% of the whole population has this condition. And I was told that at any given moment, there would I might not even have a warning. I could go into cardiac arrest, or I could die just oh, hi, people.
There's another member of the family.
Oh, hi, honey.
If you're not watching, we've been invaded by a dog.
Oh, hi, sweet girl.
Just making
this is that's our baby. But anyways, so we were told this, and that's really unsettling. Like, oh, so that could just happen today, tomorrow, in a year. And so we had to make that decision that we have to cherish every single day, because we never know what day is going to be our last, and not in a depressing way either. Like, we're very thankful for the time that we have.
What kinds of things do you look forward to each day? Because I'm imagining there's a lot of getting out of bed is a little bit different for you than it is for me or for Isaac or for Chris. So like what just preparing for the day, you're most of the time in a chair, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So like, what are the types of things that you are hanging like that you're enjoying just to do that's outside of, oh, I didn't have a stroke today, or I didn't have a heart attack today,
Yeah. So day to day, I look forward to, well, like you said, getting out of bed is a big thing. Chris works, kind of like this off shift or schedule. And so there's several days during the week where he is gone at work for 12, 14 hours. Wow. And so when he is at work, a lot of times I will have a family member over, whether it's my mom, my grandma, my aunt, my best friend. And I look forward to that time. I look forward to spending the day with them. I look forward to being with our little fur babies, like you just saw. Maple is our German Shepherd, and we have a cat named Bimo. But I look forward to that. I look forward to all of the love that they get to give me. I feel like my home is like my safe space. It's my mom, of course. She has made it into such a cozy, calm area where I can just look at all of the things that bring me joy, like pictures all over my home of my family, my nieces, my nephews, my siblings. And if I get outside, then that's a really good day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like just even the little things that bring you joy, whether it's talking to a family or friend, or spending time with one of your parents, or even the time that I get to be alone. Those moments where I get to spend time alone when there isn't someone here, that's definitely the time that I get to spend the most with Jesus, and I get to just have that one-on-one time and just growing more and more in my faith, and that is just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it sounds like it's just a perspective. You know, you're listing things that, you know, to be honest, we all, well, at least let me speak for myself. I just take for granted.
Yeah.
I'm imagining Shayna and Chris not too worried about elections, not too worried about the things that we spin out about. You still have to make plans, but even those plans, it's like, I'm guessing from what you're saying, that you hold with open hands, because plans can change in a millisecond, right?
Yes.
And so you still make plans, but and Chris, is this frustrating for you, or is this just a new way of life?
So I've always been a pretty laid back person. I've been pretty good at like making adjustments. And honestly, I think, just going back to my childhood a little bit, I had a lot of football coaches and wrestling coaches that impacted me in a positive way, just because my home life wasn't the greatest, I'd say. But something that stuck with me too, my little brother reminds me, actually, he just had two twin girls. And one of his favorite quotes is, "The great ones adjust." And that came from a football coach that I had back in high school. And that kind of just sticks in the back of my head. So it used to be a little frustrating depending on, you know, what we have to adjust to, just because, you know, like, let's say it was something huge that has been stripped away from Shayna, but I've just learned to completely let go and just trust Jesus and follow him blindly. I think just another thing I just want to just say is, I'm extremely proud of Shayna and the way that she, the way that she just chooses joy, like you were touching on a minute ago. And I get to use that to also impact other people. I'm a very open person. I'm easygoing. I'm easy to talk to. I just like to talk to people. I have ADD myself, so I'm kind of all over the place. And so when I'm at work, I get a lot of that energy out. So I'm a little more calmer at home. So if someone's having like some problem at work, let's say, for example, I don't compare it to our situation at all. But if they just need a little bit of like, hey, I hope you realize that having a bad day at work isn't going to ruin your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it's a perspective shift. Yeah.
I'm very good at just kind of interpreting that into like just daily little, like, hopefully like sprinkles of Jesus onto people's lives at work. Just like, hey, you know, well, it's not all that bad. We're here at work. We're having a great. I'm here. You know, Christmas is almost around the corner. We're having a good time. Work is you're making good money. You're here, like, so. Yeah.
No, that little thing you said from your coach, I love that. Because you may not feel that way, but you're one of the great ones. And like,
well, thank you.
Like maybe that just appealed to the man in me just a little bit, because I can take suffering, you know, this person's mad at me, or this situation, or, you know, now we got to do some hiring at the tab, you know. Sorry, did I do it again?
You did it again.
Did I do it again? I love you, bro.
I was waiting for
I love
it.
you, bro.
I love you too.
But it's easy to, can we just blah, 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 blah. And then, you know, you just appealed to our better natures, you know, that image of God part of us that God put in us is the great ones adjust. And so it's like, well, who doesn't want to be great, you know?
100%.
Sorry, you want to jump in?
No, I don't want to interrupt you.
No, go, bro. Save me from myself.
I would second everything that you just said. You are one of the greats, bro. And I feel like you deserve and need some affirmation right here and now too, because we almost slipped right by something. You're going to work and you're having these conversations and you have some perspective now that you can share with people. Hey, this one thing is not going to define your day, is not going to make for the end of the world. But that's the coolest thing about your testimony, Shayna, your testimony, and you guys collectively. I see it every single week. If I'm hearing conversations or if I'm participating in them myself, people ask questions. Like they hear about what it is that you're walking through right now or in the last however many years, fill in the blank, and they ask questions. How in the world are you making any sense of this right now? How in the world are you guys managing the things that are right in front of your face? Even questions about some of the phrases, right? Like, for the good, choose joy. Well, as a matter of fact, let me tell you where those things came from. Wow. And so I see your guys' testimony literally daily pointing people to Jesus.
That's inspiring.
Keep it up. That's
inspiring.
So cool.
Thank you.
And even to go back to something, Shayna, that you said is, I think it was Mark Twain who wasn't a Christian, but said that the two most important moments in a person's life is the day they were born and the day they figure out why. And when you said purpose, I was, you were starting to talk about, hey, I didn't know what my purpose was. I thought I had a different purpose. I didn't know where you were going. But how old are you now?
I just turned 27.
So for a 27-year-old woman with a smile on her face, who is just oozing joy, to just say with a smile, my purpose, I know what my purpose is, it's suffering. You didn't choose your purpose. Your purpose chose you. And there's so many of us who miss out on it because we fight against it. We try to buck, the circumstances. And it is an unbelievable testimony to Christ. There's another thing that I've noticed in my 54 years is that there's different times when God puts us on display. And Chris, you were alluding to that when you have an opportunity at work. Those are little moments. But even all of us here on this podcast, Shayna, you've been put on display. And your response, your reaction, even your willingness to come on a podcast and talk about stuff that's very private, very intimate, very painful, you've chosen to let God put you. Don't take a drink when I'm getting teary.
I was gonna say,
come on, man! You're supposed to jump in and save me.
That was poor timing.
You've chosen to point to Jesus because He's put you on display. And there was a bug that I just flicked away. I'm inspired. So thank you. You give me hope. You're building my faith. And I'm a preacher, for crying out loud.
Well, thank you.
One day at a time, friends.
One day at a time.
It is a beautiful, beautiful journey, and I am inspired every time I look at the way that you walk it. So, thank you for
you walk it with me as well.
You guys got any last things that you didn't get to share that you think are important just to, for our people to hear?
I feel like I've kind of covered it all that I have to say. Just, the biggest thing is, 1, you have to surrender. 2, joy you have to make that choice to have joy in everyday life. Whether it's towards little things or big things, you need to find the joy. And 3, friends and family, you would not be where you are today without them. And that is just an amazing thing. And I've just been blessed with with literally the best family. Obviously, having Isaac as my brother, I'm just ever so thankful for that and for our parents. And I am also just thankful for Isaac, for his testimony, as it has been a big impact on me as well. And,
that testimony's seen some things.
Yes, it has, but it has taught me more than you even know. And I'm just so thankful for it. And you've been such a role model to me as well, to find joy in every life and to keep fighting. And I'm thankful, and I love you.
I love you too.
This is huge. Well, I thought of the word passion, and passion is, the way it was explained to me, was actually in the context of a scripture. And I'd bring my iPad. You might have to look it up, but it's that God has appointed you not only this, but also to suffer, and suffering for the name. You know, we think of that in light of persecution. Our church right now is going through a series on Revelation. This week we start the tribulation. Yeah. You're in your own tribulation. And the word passion literally has to do with how much are you willing to suffer for who or the thing that you love. So Chris, as an athlete, as a football player and a wrestler, you know, your willingness to do the early morning practices or to hit the weight room or to do the next sprint or whatever, you're willing to suffer for the thing that you love. I'm watching you for the God that you love and the woman that you love. You're suffering. And Shayna, the joy, the choosing joy is again, God, again, I'm willing to suffer because your passion is the Lord and your passion is your family and in this choosing to be on display. And so for us, wow, a theology of suffering is lacking within our faith. And thank you so much for sharing with us today. And I'm glad we got you on a good day. And I want you to know that we have prayed for you, and we're going to continue to pray for both of you. I'm so glad, Chris, that you were here because, you know, I saw you at the baptism, and man, there's just way more depth than it's brother-in-law's muscles right over there. There's way more to Chris than just $1 million smile and all of that. Are there specific ways that people that are listening could pray for you that you would ask for us to pray for you, like specifically?
I guess specifically just praying for peace and comfort and just the strength to get through each day. You know, obviously, I'm not saying I believe in miracles, and I know wholeheartedly that I could be healed. Yeah. And God could choose to heal me. So I do want to say that.
But even if.
Yeah. But yeah, just praying for that, for the strength to get through each day, each trial that we may face. And just, I think a big thing too is praying for specifically my family, that has not reached the acceptance that we have, with things. You know, there's other family members with lots of anger and confusion and just kind of resentment. So I definitely, I would love prayers for them.
Awesome. Yeah. I think you should probably write a book. So
I would second that.
Maybe I don't care if it's a ghostwriter that has to come visit and you just have chats, but there's a book in here. But even if there's not a book, thank you for letting us put this on the podcast. I think it's going to help people. I think it's going to encourage people. I think it's going to point people to Christ. And Isaac, you got one more thing you want to
Yeah. Well, for one, if you happen to write a book, I call dibs on writing the foreword.
Okay.
That's shameless plug there.
Okay. Well, with all the time you're going to have in Arizona,
yeah, that's right.
maybe you should just, co-write it or something.
I think we can work something out. Philippians 1:29, for it has been granted to you that for the sake of Christ, you should not only believe in him, which you have done, you should not only believe in him, but also suffer for his sake.
Thanks for finding that.
Yeah, absolutely, brother.
What was the address again? Philippians
1:29.
Philippians 1:29.
It's a powerful verse, and it's one that the two of you model so very well. So thank you for that, and for being literally a walking testimony in your suffering.
That's a good last word.
Yeah.
Good last word. So Tab family, please share this with someone who needs to hear it. Share it, like it, subscribe, do all the things. And until next time, this is my man, Isaac Riddle, who will be on the podcast again.
I'll hold you to it.
God willing, and the creek don't rise. This is my friends, my new friends, Chris and Shayna Whitlow, and our executive producer, Matt Hughes, who didn't have to step out. This is us saying that we love you guys, and we love our Tabernacle family. We're signing off.